Welcome to episode 51 of the Rebel Army podcast, the official podcast of the Cork City Football Club. And this week we talk to the new community football coaching manager. Back after our mid-season break. We were only gone for a week though, but I'm joined by Aaron.
There's always so much talk about mid-season break. It's just one Friday off.
That's all it was, really.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a big long holiday.
One non-match day Friday.
Mm.
But it does feel like ages since we've had a game.
It feels ages since that, I suppose, game against Shelbourne, which was really good football, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. We were probably unlucky. We played really well against them in the first half.
Yeah, definitely unlucky. We were really good. Good atmosphere as well, which I know that goes without saying. Like it's like that every week.
And a great goal by Shawnee as well.
Yeah, throwback, wasn't it? There's a bang of 2017 off that goal.
Yeah, and the celebrations to Doug with the camera and all that kind of stuff as well.
Shawnee Maguire will always find the camera after he scores. He'll always find the camera.
He knew Doug was there right there in the corner. But it was really positive. I mean, obviously Shelbourne were last year's champions, so we've drawn on them twice now.
Probably unlucky not to win on both occasions as well. The game up there, Rory Keating's goal, proper strikers finish that night. We had a couple of chances towards the end. I remember Dara Crowley headed one off the line as well to keep us in it. So that was another action-packed game earlier on in the year.
And it was great to see Malik and stuff back as well. You know, like you said, it's all those little pieces starting to come together, you know.
We're like a broken record here for weeks talking about injured players and how long they'll be before they're back. But when they do come back and when you start to see them on the pitch again, it's just kind of a renewed sense of optimism for the second half of the season. Yeah.
One of the players didn't get a mid-season break though. It was Cahill. He was off with the under-21s and he made his debut.
Yeah, he did last Friday. Brilliant to see that. They had a couple of pictures up of it. No matter the age group or whatever the level, to see a City player playing internationally is brilliant.
And potentially while we're recording
Freddie's away as well.
Oh yeah, Freddie's with the under-19s American squad, is it?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, they
was
played.
He in the US?
No, I think they were in Spain. I think.
Okay.
I think they had games against Ukraine and Spain. Not sure of the results, but I know the Spain game was the other day. Not sure on the Ukraine game, but that's two players on international duty, so that's really good.
But that's brilliant though, the fact that we have an American, you know, international as well under 19s.
You'd hear the shed there singing the American boy chant.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I know Cahill, as we're recording this, the under 21s are playing Qatar today, so potentially he might get another go. He might even start. Who knows?
Might get a goal.
Yeah,
he's good for a goal.
And speaking of our alumni. Great to see Jaden get on the score sheet yesterday against Croatia for the under-17s as well. So them with a couple of other League of Ireland lads as well in the side, like, so that it's good to see. Great to see the our I suppose international sides at underage doing really, really well. And then of course the national team, we had obviously Jake O'Brien was there playing the other night as well. Chidozi's obviously injured, and I don't think Alan Brown was called up, but
still a good bit of Cork City representation,
flavour to the.
That's what we want. That's what we love to see.
You know, that's what we want. And hopefully plenty more to come as well. I know Mark O'Mahony was playing for the under-21s as well. So, it's brilliant. And speaking of internationals, last was it Tuesday now? The big game down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh was great to see. Another Cork City alumni.
So much Cork City, isn't it? Yeah.
Saoirse Noonan get the winner. What a great goal as well.
Great goal. Yeah, brilliant goal. Disappointed for her she didn't get more.
Yeah.
Because obviously we needed a couple of goals to top the group.
I think we needed a good through. To be fair, I was doing the match.
We needed to win by 4, yeah.
I
was talking to her after the game actually, and she's in great mood. Look, I think she was her brother Owen had a stat up. She was the first ever person to score for her county and her country at Páirc Uí Chaoimh in any sport, which is a phenomenal achievement.
It's unbelievable.
Probably the first to play, I'd say, at Páirc Uí Chaoimh for your county and country at the very top level.
At the very top. I'd say the only other person was probably, I think, and that wasn't for the country, obviously, was Dennis Irwin had played for Cork Minors and then played in that testimonial match. There's not too many would have been, because you think about the number of football games that have been played on Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Yeah, that's the thing, or there's any other sports.
That's only the third match.
So to score is obviously brilliant, but even just playing, you should be the first to do that anyway.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, I know, like, we spoke to a couple of the lads and, you know, the likes of, I think was a Connor and stuff like that. Connor Drynan was playing kind of underage kind of hurling and football and stuff like that. And there's probably a few other lads on the Cork City squad maybe even Adamida, I don't know, but they probably all played Skeena Skull probably ended up down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh at some stage. So that game against Celtic will probably have some players that have played on that pitch
there'll be
before.
A crossover, yeah.
We're now getting to the stage where we'll have a bit of crossover probably because you'll have more Cork people on the pitch.
One thing about that game in Páirc Uí Chaoimh last week that stood out, I was outside the ground up until kickoff, and even around the stadium there was a lot of Cork City gear, which was brilliant to see. Lots of the training gear, jerseys, old jerseys, new jerseys, whatever it was. There was just a lot of Cork City, which there was a real element of pride in that as well. That it was an Ireland game, but it was in Cork and people were wearing their city colours rather than just Ireland gear, which is...
There was a lovely atmosphere as well coming out of the stadium, and just so many families, and there was a great, I think there was a lot of coaches came from different parts of the county and further afield as well. But it's such an open plan there, just down by the marina, and
it's a brilliant fan zone area, isn't it?
It's perfect for it. Do you know? Usually when you come out of stadiums in this country, you're nearly into a housing estate.
Yeah,
and that applies to the Aviva and to Croke Park and all them places as well. They're nearly all the same. Nearly every stadium in this country is built in a housing estate area.
Yeah.
Except Páirc Uí Chaoimh for some reason.
You always hear the residents. Yeah.
Páirc Uí Chaoimh is kind of nearly just built on the river. Yes, obviously there is a couple of houses in Blackrock.
But there's a good element of open space around as well, and parks and walkways. It's actually, I mentioned it before, I don't go to many GAA things. I've been to Páirc Uí Chaoimh a handful of times before recently. But I never realised what a facility and what kind of an attraction it is, the whole area. It's phenomenal. And I suppose from our point of view, looking forward to it again in just under a month now.
I know, I have to say I'm really looking forward to it. And the facilities on the inside are actually lovely as well, to be fair, you know.
Do you know what? That's kind of when at the women's game, I was helping in the FAI out with a couple of bits. And it was actually handy for me because I kind of got to know the lay of the land ahead of our game. So I knew where to go and where not to go and how to get from A to B in there, which was very handy. Yeah, what a setup down there.
You know, the food and the bar and all that. It's just lovely. But there's so much space in that area too. Again, you're not up on top of people, and
and you can tell as well. I know the women's game, the crowd was a lot smaller than people would have been hoping, but still a lot of noise.
There was, yeah.
A lot of noise down there for a football match. So I can't wait. 8th of July, 4 weeks from today when we're recording this podcast. So that's 6 p.m. kickoff. Cork City against Celtic in the Cork Super Cup, and it's corksupercup.com for tickets for
that. Speaking of the women's game, our own women were back after their mid-season break last week, but had a defeat up the country.
Yeah, so it was the final group game of the All-Ireland Cup, and we were in Galway, not in Eamon Deacy Park because the ground was closed. They were doing some work on the pitch or something like that. So it was out in Headford, which is probably half an hour beyond again.
That is a good bit beyond, all right. Yeah.
A bit of another journey, but Moyne Villa, it's where the Galway women's team train. We'd play there once last year as well, but that was the game where the weather was really bad and it was changed while we were literally around the corner from Eamon Deacy Park. So at least we had a bit of time to prepare for this one. Thankfully, weather was much better. But it ended in a 2-0 defeat, 2 set pieces again, which I know Frank Kelleher was frustrated with, but overall, a really good City performance. Frank said as much. I caught up with him after the game, and this was kind of his take on what happened.
Frank, a 2-0 defeat in Galway sees us exit the Cup, but performance-wise, you happy with how that went?
Very happy with the performance, Aaron. 2 set pieces did us again in corners, but I think the character the team showed today was outstanding. We matched them for 90 minutes in every department, I'll be honest. They had 1 shot on target for the second half. We pushed, but we couldn't get that 1 goal back to put us back into it. But the team showed great character today.
You mentioned the set pieces, which are an obvious source of frustration, but the chances we created as well. Ellie O'Brien had one saved brilliantly. Lauren Holman had a couple of chances. So
she did.
As you said, plenty to be encouraged from that.
Plenty to be encouraged, and we created as many chances as they did, maybe a few more in the game, and we just couldn't get that 1 goal that I think would have changed the situation. But I think the performance, our level of fitness is at the highest level now in terms of competing with these teams, and also our organisation is much better. The character is back. It's back.
And next up, the next fixture is against the same opposition in Turner's Cross. Is it nearly the perfect time to go into the game again?
I think it's the perfect opposition again, because they know they'll be in a fight with us next week at Turner's Cross, and we'll be up for it. There's no doubt about it. If we can get rid of those small little errors at set pieces, I think we can be in every single game for the rest of the season. I'm sure of it.
And just a quick word on the cup draw that happened during the week. Peamount United played them twice already this season, lost twice, but there were 2 other games where you were very encouraged with the performance. So are you happy with that?
I'm happy with the draw. I mean, it's great for us to have a home draw, first of all, because hopefully we'll get a good crowd in. And I'm asking the Cork public to come out and support us in it. It's really important to support this team. And we got a good draw, I think, against Peamount. It'll be a right battle. But I think we're gaining momentum and the belief is coming in now slowly but surely, bit by bit.
So despite the result, he was quite positive enough, and by the sounds, we're looking forward to taking him on again and maybe getting some revenge, maybe.
Yeah, I think everyone was positive. Anyone that was there watched the match, whether you watched on LOI TV or you watched up there, you'd come away from that thinking we were well able to beat them, or at least draw with them up there. So probably the perfect time to play them again next Saturday at Turner's Cross. Home comforts. They have to make the journey this time, and they now know after playing us what we're capable of, I suppose. So I can't wait for that one.
I think, did I see you were on the bus with them last week and you were in Supermax or somewhere like that? Or
do you know what? We were, after the match, we watched Cork Limerick hurling match.
Yeah.
And I gave them my laptop just for the bigger screen. So everyone was kind of on the bus, huddled around the laptop. And we stopped in the shop to go and get the cup of tea, whatever. You think, you're going into the shop, whatever. Went into the shop. Turned around there after bringing the laptop into the shop.
Is that what the picture was? Yeah,
they were walking around in the shop with the laptop watching the match. I was like, just get your food good. Like, it's a 2-minute stop. So that was a bit strange. There were a couple of strange looks. All right, there was a group of girls huddled around a laptop, walking around the Centra, but all in a day's work.
Well, one of the people that were with them on that trip, I suppose, is our new community coaching manager,
Craig Robinson, the man himself. Yeah, he's new addition to the club in terms of in a full-time capacity, but he's been around the club for a couple of years and knows the club inside out. So
very familiar to a lot of people, especially in the women's side of the game.
Yeah, and just in football in general in Cork, he'd be very well known. So we thought it's a good opportunity and a good time to bring him in and talk about what he does, what he has been doing, and what he will be doing, I suppose, over the next couple of weeks in his new role.
We better bring him in. Welcome to the podcast, Craig.
Delighted to be on. Yeah.
No, I know you've been involved in the city for a while, but I suppose in a full-time capacity, it's only in the recent kind of couple of months.
Yeah, so as you said, I suppose I've been doing the women's under 17s for a couple of years, and then obviously joined in with the senior team this year, thankfully, and just recently then with the full-time role with the community coach and manager. So delighted to, I suppose, get the offer and really appreciated it, So hopefully now I can grow the community base and stuff within city and stuff like that. So yeah.
But you have there's a lot under that remit. Like there's a lot of different teams involved. Everything from, I suppose, the junior academy to the, as you said, the women's first team.
Yeah. Like we would say, I suppose, just the community side. I suppose like you have the junior academy, which is every Sunday. We have the Corky camps now, which obviously this time of year is coming up big now between the summer camps. And then I suppose like the walking football, they have a tournament now in Abbottstown this weekend, so they're all getting excited for that, and they're doing a bit of extra training, and the Down syndrome team then as well, which I suppose I'm overseeing, but Anya's doing a great job with them, so they're on a little bit of break now after they had a tournament recently as well. So and there's other bits, but yeah, there's a lot to kind of get my hands on things, but looking forward to.
So that community title in the role is definitely, the communities, we say it all the time in the podcast, it's such a big thing within Cork City.
Yeah, like and even age wise, like you can nearly say like it's from 6 months old to the walking football lads, and they're 60s, 70s, that kind of way. So it's a big age gap to trying to bring everyone together and I suppose create everyone in that, like, if you want to make it a small community, even though it's a big community at the same time, like, so I'd say it's been a fun few weeks kind of getting to know everybody, to be honest. So and it's just, I suppose, bringing everyone together for the one goal, I suppose, if you want to say as well. So yeah.
Well, when did your coaching career kind of start then? Like you're young enough. When did it
so I suppose I'm coaching over 20 years. Thankfully still young enough. So I started coaching when I was 12.
12?
Yeah.
That's very young to be.
Yeah,
was it camps or something?
Yeah, no, so it was actually, I suppose, down to give credit to my dad. I suppose he was coaching my younger brother's teams under 8s, and he had a couple of teams, and he kind of wanted me to take one of the team, and there was a couple of adults with me, and I was kind of doing the coaching side of things. So I suppose that gave me the itch for it, if you want to say.
Lord of 7 and 8 year old.
Yeah. So plenty of patience as well.
But like as a 12-year-old, did they listen to you?
Yeah. Like to be fair, I suppose trying to think back now, but I suppose they knew me. I suppose through my brother, and they kind of said, look, at the time I would have been playing the older ages, I suppose, and they had that little bit obviously from a responsibility point of view. I had the parents with me or whatever like that. But no, to be fair, they took it on board, and they were enjoying it as well. So yeah, I suppose it kind of gave me that itch and kind of thing like that. So like it kind of.
What club was that?
I was Park United, so my home club down in Mitchelstown. So I've always kind of played with them up until 18, kind of thing like that, and then I moved up to the big bad world, as they say. I went to CIT back when it was CIT, and kind of grew from there. Then started playing with CIT and stuff like that. But yeah, to be fair, I kind of.
Did you stick with the coaching, was it just a once-off at 12?
No. So continue coaching the whole way with Park United, between the boys' teams, the women's teams, the academy side of things.
Through your teens?
Yeah, and then I got involved as well with the Cork Women's League. My dad started involved with there, and Charlie Lynch would have been a big influence as well with me, with the Cork Women's League and stuff like that. So, got involved with the Gaynor Cup teams, kind of thing like that from there. So, I'd say it was probably kind of between 16 and 18 kind of thing. I started helping Charlie with the Gaynor Cup teams. So I had a couple of experiences with the Gaynor Cup, which was only on last week again. So things like that. And then it kind of grew, and then Charlie went into Cork Women's FC, I suppose, back in the day, and he took me in as assistant manager. So I kind of said this is nearly my second stint, I suppose, within the club.
And what age were you at that time when you were assistant manager the first time?
Yeah, when I was assistant manager the first time, it was probably, it was 18, 19, kind of 20 kind of side of things like that. So like to me, like Charlie took a big gamble on me, I suppose, at a young age, that kind of way. So,
and how did the women respond to you? Like obviously there would have been women that older than you.
Yeah, exactly. No, and between them being older than me then, and even the senior men's teams I've taken on in the past, players have been older to me, and I suppose thankfully I've been lucky enough that there was respect there, and I've also, I suppose, experiences where the respect of who's this young fella coming in and telling me what to do, that kind of way. And I suppose just personally, even like for me, I've taken all them on board as a learning curve, and taken it into my coaching, if you want to say. But it's been interesting because I suppose a lot of the players even back then, you still kind of cross paths with them now and stuff like that. And there's some players that were on that team back then that are still on the team right now. And also there's some of the girls, when I suppose we had the academy back then, that their names are starting to come up again, or some of them names still playing in the league and stuff like that. So it's good, I suppose. I've always been kind of involved in that side, that kind of way. So, and even when I went to college, then I took over the CIT teams in college.
While you were in college?
So I was in college, yeah, and second year in college, then Eric Mara made me chairperson of the college kind of set up. So I was coaching the second men's team back then, as well as being the chairman of the college team. And I kind of went from there, and I'd say even when I left college, I still stayed involved coaching the women's team and the men's first team and stuff like that. So, and again, left. And then I was back in again for a stint when it turned to MTU. So up until this year, I'm still involved with the MTU teams then as well. So it's been that experience, and to me, I've tried to keep that relationship open, especially on the women's side with Cork Cities all the time, because there's an overlap of players there. So I suppose again in my community role, it's something else I'm going to potentially look at and see how can we kind of maybe grow that within the colleges and schools and stuff as well. That kind of way. So.
And what did you study in CIT then?
Yeah, so it's a funny one actually. I because I was so involved in the soccer, and I was only telling David Myler there a while ago. His dad John Myler actually taught me in college.
He taught me as well.
Yeah, so we won't say anything bad about John, but that was one of the things. So I was actually everyone thought I was doing a sports course, but I actually did early years education in college. So I was like that in John Myler's class. Now I was the only male out of all the females. So
yeah, because it is female dominated.
Yeah. So but yeah, no, I loved the course, to be fair. I suppose it was kind of that side of things, because I always kind of like the teaching side of things as well. So teaching or sports kind of thing.
But were you also linking that in with, I suppose, the fact that you had dealt with younger kids?
Yeah, and I think
the responsibility of guiding them and so on.
Yeah, and I think I suppose a big thing in my coaching has always been, while I suppose I'm coaching at an elite level, I'm still very big, and if anything, it probably is my deciding factor on the development of players. So again, kind of the development of kids and children, if you want to say as well, in that early years environment. So yeah, I worked in early years education, I worked in preschools, I worked in a number of preschools, for 6-7 years, and kind of just slowly started stepping back and kind of doing a day of coaching, 2 days of coaching and stuff like that. So and then I just went full-time coaching about 6.5 years ago. So just through my own, just set up my own business. So I suppose it's led from there and led on to now currently working full-time for Cork City. Yeah. So but still I suppose everyone always says to me, how do you have the patience for so many, children, even on camps, let's say, that kind of way. So with big numbers and even little things, I'd always kind of remember the names of the children going out the gate after day one, and people are looking at me saying, I don't even know the names of my children in my own group. How do you know every child going home? And it's just something that kind of, I suppose it's very important personally. You get to know people's names straight away. It kind of clicks, and they enjoy coming back the next day and stuff as well. So,
but obviously you have a deeper understanding then as well of, I suppose, the huge responsibility coaches have of being kind of mentors to young kids, especially if they maybe come from troublesome backgrounds or, they might just need someone to kind of talk to.
Yeah, and like to me, like it's I suppose other people kind of, they're saying how it kind of comes naturally as such as well, but like to me a lot of it is just the smaller fine details, as in like that big smile face, the welcome coming in the gate, that high five, just creating a little bit of an atmosphere, and then they're going home again. And it's even the change of tone and voice. I suppose a lot of people think that, for me personally, and maybe just to link back to the coaching side of things, a lot of people, big numbers, big groups, kind of tend to use whistles. And to me, that's a pet hate. I just think whistles, to be honest, it's a bit more kind of, there's times and places for it, but to me, if you're trying to get the attention of kids and younger kids, I always kind of go with a different tone of voice, or I might even start whispering, for example, and then they're all kind of starting like, what's he talking about now? And they actually start listening. Then they or else you change your pitch or your tone, your voice, kind of thing like that, and it just catches them. So I suppose that's from working in preschools too, them little kind of tricks. And I suppose I bring that then into coaching when I'm coaching with children. So it's kind of like, so it's, I suppose I'd like to try in this role now, I suppose, between the camps and the junior academy, I want to start coaching the coaches as well, and even coaching say some of the 17s and 20 boys, the 17s and the 19s girls, to be coaches potentially down the line as well. So I suppose it's passing on what I've learned, even though I suppose I'm still very young in the game, that kind of way. And I know I still have a lot to learn, and that's, I suppose, another big thing as well, like in terms of, I know I'm never going to be the best coach, that kind of way. I always want to learn from someone. So, and whether that's a different code as well, I'll always be open to taking something off somebody. So it's important, I suppose, as well for me to pass that on to players and coaches, that we've always got something to learn. So
obviously developing people is something that's always been at like your core strength, to say that you're coaching kids at a young age, but also then you did the early childcare studies and stuff. So I'd imagine that's always been in the back of your mind to kind of work with people to develop them, and you're probably, with all the teams that you're involved in, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, like, and I suppose I don't know what it is. I kind of get that. I get more joy, I suppose. Yes, the match day buzz and that winning feeling, the winning buzz. But even, I suppose, recently, between, I suppose, stepping into the head of women's academy now as well, and having had some of the 17s players the last 2 years, and to see some of them now go to 19s and even make their debuts for the senior team the last few weeks, I've got a great joy out of that. That kind of way. And like, people might say, oh, well, like at that level, you're supposed to be winning games. And to be honest, 100%, that's no problem. But my personal opinion is I'm delighted that we're developing these players as well, because long term, I can see the standards that are coming through, and I can see it will benefit the club long term. It's just probably about having that little, for me, patience. And I know people will say, oh, but you don't have it. You need to be winning games at this time. But I suppose I've got the balance of being involved in the senior team and being involved with the academy now, that I can see that growth and the development come through. And it's very rewarding, I think, for any coach to be involved in that and seeing how the players you've developed, into the thing. Because yes, I know, and it's important for anyone to be involved in their development, because obviously we're getting them at City, and they've developed so much with their clubs as well, and that's important to acknowledge that from the club point of view as well. And like the clubs, like, I'm very lucky to be in a position that I am full-time, and I'm working full-time as a soccer coach, and it doesn't come up often in this country. So there's so many volunteers out there that are putting time and effort and energy into these players, and it's important to acknowledge that, that they're doing a great, they might tell you they don't know what they're doing or they're struggling each week, but they need to be applauded and praised as well, because it is a massive, massive ordeal to be doing.
Huge commitment as well from people, isn't it?
Yeah.
you know, a lot of their personal time is taken up between training sessions, matches, organising fixtures and so on.
Yeah, and it's even beyond that. Like, that's, I suppose, what we said is you're 100% right, but that's what people see. Do you know, people don't see the hours they're putting into text, the phone calls, washing gear, even organising
picking players up.
Do you know, all these little things like that. Do you know, that's the hidden things. And like, if they don't do this thing, right, the team isn't turning up with the kids, the team isn't turning up with the full players, you know, there's no one there to look after the kids, and you know, it is hard, it's difficult, you know, that kind of, and there's times, like, every club is different. Some clubs will back you the whole way, some clubs won't, you know, little details, and you feel like you could be doing it all on your own. So for them to keep turning up and giving the time and effort, and you know, like, half the time the players don't even see it, you know, which is even bigger again from that coach's point of view, you know, that they put on a brave face and they just go on the pitch because they're all working and they're coming from work, a hard day's work or a hard week's work, and you're going out and you're giving time to children then to develop them, which is, it's brilliant to know. So it is, yeah.
Was that an advantage as a teenager, actually, in many ways, that you didn't have other commitments, you know, that you could devote your time to it?
Yeah, very true. And I suppose my dad was heavily involved as well. So a lot of the teams I was doing it with my dad, or I was doing it with other very football passionate people, you know. But yeah, I was coming from school or whatever, and I was going on the pitch, and sure, what more do you want to be doing, you know, as a teenager, being on the pitch the whole time, or even in college. I was going straight from college to a match and things like that, you know, that kind of way. And I would have even, suppose, from my point of view, within college and school, that would have been my enjoyment, you know, that
kind of hobby kind of in many ways,
like, and I said it like right now, and even the last few years when I was full time doing my own stuff, I don't look at it as work. I was being paid to do something I love doing, you know, every day, and that might sound cliche and stuff like that, but that's the way I felt, you know, that kind of way. So yeah.
But like, as a teenager and as a young adult in college and stuff like that, were you then trying to learn from, like, were you reading books, like, were you looking at videos, were you trying to be, like, had you kind of heroes as coaches that you were looking up to?
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I suppose everyone kind of looks at that as in, like, you know, who's your idol or who do you take after, but I suppose a lot of coaches I find, and I suppose coaches that I suppose have come to me for advice and stuff like that, they say we see all these drills on YouTube and things like that, and I never really did that because I was kind of thinking, or I kind of looked at YouTube as in, videos look brilliant, they look quality, the whole lot, but they're edited, there's so much equipment and all that, and I was like, what's the drill actually about? What's the coaching points being given? So I actually preferred to go and actually watch sessions. You know, so it might have been a team that were on the pitch before me, or a team that were pitch after me, and I go watch them, or I could be out for a walk or a run or something like that, and I could see a team coaching, and I might stop by for 5-10 minutes, you know, and try to pick up something from them that they were happening that kind of way. But yeah, and then I suppose obviously all the coaches I had, I suppose obviously I would have learned stuff from my dad, and I suppose even my dad personally, I would have learned from, you know, making things fun and interactive the whole time. You know, that kind of way. He'd still to this day, he'd make sessions fun and interactive.
He's still in coaching,
He's still in coaching, yeah. So he's still coaching. He's coaching 3 of the women's teams actually at the moment down in Park United. So still, you know, help him out as much as he can, that kind of side of things. And obviously he's still helping me. And Charlie Lynch, then again, I would have gone from that. So he would have been a big help and a role model. Then even that would have been with CIT and stuff. So I would have had Stevie Neeland in CIT. Then I would have spent a bit of time with UCC. Neil Horgan would have been my manager, or the manager of the team back then. So I would have picked up bits off Neil and stuff. And yeah, just different managers. And obviously been involved with Cork City the last few years and stuff like that, you know. So
you're learning
from everyone, like, yeah, and still at the moment learning from Frank, and even, you know, you're there in training and stuff, so you're still picking up everything. So, and even all the other coaches involved in training as well and involved in the team, I'm always learning, even between Trish and Paul doing the goalkeeping stuff, you're picking up different ways of them, between Orla doing the S&C, Trevor's doing the other coaching side of things as well. I think you just have to be so open the whole time to pick up different opinions, and you can have your own opinion on things, but listen to other people's way of thoughts and doing it and stuff. And even the same on the coaching courses. So the coaching course was on last week. Just so many like different opinions and different experience coming into it.
Is that the license, the UEFA license?
Yeah, so it was on the UEFA license now last week. But just a different mix of players and standards. And some say James Collins was on that course now. Lily Agg was on that course. So just the difference then in terms of even them, what it's like in the men's professional game compared to the female professional game, and a lot of the ex-professional, current even League of Ireland players are on it and stuff as well. So just massive experience in the room in terms of playing ability. Like, and they would have all played at a way higher level than me. So for them to kind of acknowledge my abilities as coaching and kind of ask for my advice as well would have been very kind of rewarding and acknowledging as well, you know. So it's just every day, to be honest, you know, you're trying to pick up something.
And like we all see those, like there's loads of levels to that, the coaching. Obviously, the pro license is the top. The A license is the second one down from it, is it? Like how much work is it? Like a course in college, like because you've done the whole college kind of course now.
Yeah, exactly. Like I suppose, like it's a long process. I suppose as in this course now, the A course that we're doing at the moment is going on until March 2026. So there's a lot of assignments to be doing now. Between now and then, there's 2 club visits as well. So. But I suppose at the same time, you're kind of living the course as you're doing it. So like a lot of the assignments now at the moment would be recording our sessions and stuff like that, and then we'll have to analyze them and kind of present them to the other micro little groups. So I suppose you're kind of doing the assignments without even kind of feeling like you're doing the assignments. Okay. You're actually out in the world, I suppose. Do you know, that kind of side of things? Or there's a couple of others that, you know, you're just putting your own thoughts and philosophy. So I suppose one of the assignments now is around what kind of your principles of play and stuff like that. So you're kind of moulding something. To me, I'm moulding, if you want to say, like a booklet that I'm going to take with me and grow with me through my experience.
Your philosophy of football, kind of.
Exactly, you know. So, and I'll add to it then if you know, teams change. And that's the other thing, like I suppose football in general in the world is adapting and changing the whole time. So it's being open to them open to them changes as well, that, you know, that you'll change your model slightly but stick to your core principles as such as well. So so like, while I suppose even last week now it was intense, but it was really enjoyable as well at the same time, you know. And like I was going there, and I won't lie, I could see the standard of players and standard of coaching that was there, and you're nervous going in, and you know, you're kind of saying, I'm out of my depth here, kind of thing.
Bit of imposter syndrome kind
of. Yeah, you know, definitely, because like, look, as I say, I would have stopped playing at a young age, because I would have just said, look, I think if there's any hope now, I'm not going to make it as a player at my age. I might give it a go as a coach. So I'm looking at lads that have played elite level football and international football, and same with Lily with the female side of things. And you're kind of thinking, like, you know, they know way more than me. But you know, when you kind of get in a room with them then, and you all kind of realise, you know what, this is a coaching world. We're all actually on the same level now here as a coach. We're all doing the same qualification. Back to the start, and everybody was so helping and genuine then, you know, that kind of way. So, and you feel like through this course now, through the time of it, like, you're going to grow with people through this, and you make connections, and, you know, you just don't know what's going to come. And I think football is brilliant in that world, in terms of it's all networking. You know, you learn from so many people, you'll take from so many people, and you just never know where it's going to go to be honest with you.
And as an industry as well, it's kind of changed a lot over the last kind of decade or so, where you see a lot more younger coaches that don't necessarily come from a football background, or as in are well known as footballers.
Yeah, definitely. Like I would have stopped coaching, I suppose, as I said, I would have started coaching when I was 12, but I would have stopped playing then in my early 20s. And I suppose because I started coaching senior men's teams, and to be fair, I suppose the club saw, without trying to big up myself, saw how good I was in that kind of thing. So they said, look, we'll give him a chance. It doesn't matter kind of age. And that was very rewarding to me, in terms that they weren't worried about the age that I was. Yeah. They were saying, look, his quality. So, but then you kind of get on the pitch with players, and at the start you're kind of player coach or whatever like that, or player manager. And I suppose I stopped playing because I was coaching during the week a certain way, and then if I went out on the pitch and did it different, you kind of lose that level of respect. And I suppose, like, that's a big thing to me about having that respect from players, and obviously the players respecting the coaches. So I kind of just said, look, I'm going to focus on that, I'm going to step back. But yeah, it definitely is growing more now, in terms of there is more coaches out there, and I think players and I think clubs as well are starting to see there is a lot of time and effort and finances especially as well put into these UEFA badges, the whole lot. And like, if we don't give people these chances that are qualified, that's the only way to me that's actually going to grow this game, you know, because there's only so much, as we said, yes, people that are volunteers need to be rewarded and stuff, but at the end of the day as well, if you want to get a higher level or standard in players, well, then you need to get a higher level of standard in coaches as well. And I suppose it's another one, even from coaches' point of view. I suppose if I look back, I probably properly started to be respected as a coach when I actually had to start charging for sessions. And that, even from a club point of view, clubs actually started respecting for your values when you actually
were charging clubs to train
so
their
when
teams.
So basically when I started being a full-time coach through my own business a couple of, you know, it was my job as such. So I couldn't, I had to start then charging, and it's hard at the start. It's very hard. You have to say no to people, and you have to turn down sessions, because you need to pay the bills at the end of the day. So it was only when you start to kind of putting a value on your worth, I suppose, that people started respecting you for who you are. So, and I suppose if anything, that's probably advice for any coach or any young coaches that want to start, and start building
Don't be afraid to charge for it.
Don't be afraid to, but like I suppose the other side of it then, make sure you have kind of that experience, and you're going to have to do a lot of voluntary stuff to get that experience as well at the other side of it, but when you get to a stage that you feel like, I am confident, I have worked up, I have got my badges now and stuff like that, that you have to take that next little step, so and I suppose I was lucky enough to have experience in the women's game, experience in the men's game, experience of schoolgirls, schoolboys, colleges in CIT and UCC. At that stage, I'd work with Cork Women's FC. I'd work with Cove Ramblers as well.
So you're building up a nice CV for yourself.
Yeah, you're building up a nice CV, exactly, and a lot of connections. So, and then you kind of step out there, So
it has become, I suppose, as well, more fashionable in recent years as well to see more of these kind of professional coaching kind of academies appear. That wasn't a thing like 10 years ago, but now we're seeing what I suppose is more popular in the US. Actually, it's very popular in the US, and it's started to break into the UK a bit as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think even from a player point of view and even parents' point of view, they're seeing a bit more of a value in now. If you want to say, given that extra supplementary coaching to a player, that kind of way, that extra session a week. And I suppose that's what I like to kind of say, even from the junior academy point of view now on the Sundays. Like, that's what I would kind of like to try to get out there in terms of the junior academy that we're providing. I want to be able to give that as an extra session a week. And it's just to develop the player as an individual, if anything, put in a group setting. And it's just about, like, we need to adapt that now in the sessions that they're getting a better quality of session every weekend that'll complement their club sessions, and then they can come onto the pitch, and even be a more comfortable and confident player going onto the pitch. And it's just about creating a comfortable environment as well, and even bring back to the little things like warm welcome face coming in the gate there, just that big high five, and they're going home happy and saying, I'm after learning this today and that today, that kind of way. And I think I'll take that into my game now, my club session at the weekend or next weekend and things like that. So, I think that's an important way for people now to start looking at our junior academy on the Sunday evenings as that.
And that's open to anybody?
Open to all levels. And that's the important thing.
So from what age?
So from 6 to 14, boys and girls. And it's on in Virgin Media Park every Sunday. So it's important for me that, like, it is open to every level. Whether you're
so you don't have to be a top footballer, you don't have to be on your Premier team or whatever.
No. Yes, it is run by Cork City FC, but it's open to everybody, open to all levels, all abilities, boys and girls. And I suppose, especially with my involvement in the women's side, I'd be delighted to see a bit more growth now in the women's side come with that as well. But in terms of all ability, you might be a beginner and you're just looking for something to start and even say, I'm not with a club yet, but I'd like to try out this. Why not try it out for a month and see how it is going and stuff like that, So all levels, all abilities. It's just really, for me, it's going to be now about getting being a better player going out the gate than you did coming in the gate, to be honest with you. So,
and all the coaches are part of the city family in some capacity.
So all the coaches now. So the coaches will be a mix of some other community coaches that would have worked with me in the past as well, and would have experience in League of Ireland and Women's National League teams as well in the past. And then there'll be some of the older academy players and stuff as well coming in. And I'm big now on pushing the senior men's and the senior women's are going to kind of come in every, say, once a month and do guest little coaches or guest talks and stuff with the players as well. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
And that kind of stuff will probably happen with the Corky camps in the summer as well, where players will drop in and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, so the Corky camps as well. So, like, obviously delighted now this time of year, and I suppose when I'm just coming on board as well, it's a busy time to come on, but like a great time as well at the same time. So all these Corky camps, again, as I said, trying to get the guest coaches and guest players kind of pop out. And this year even as well. So the Corky camps, I suppose in the past we would have had them in Bishopstown during the summer, and we would have had them down in Clon. But this year we're going to expand in terms of our venues. So we've 4 new ones announced at the moment in Lakewood, Strand, Crosshaven, and down in my home club in Park United.
Very good.
And we're also, and I'm delighted to, not that I'm an Irish speaker myself, but I have a couple of coaches that used to work with me, and they're fluent Irish, so we're going to launch a new camp as well in Bishopstown, fully through Irish. So
interesting.
Yeah, so it's one, I suppose, I've another coach, I suppose, kind of mentioned it to me in the past, and it's one, it'll be very similar organisation set up to the other camps, but it'll be just spoken through Irish. And I suppose it's a one as well for between children wanting to get that extra bit of Irish, but maybe parents as well want their kids to learn that bit of Irish. But for me, it's going to be still a very fun environment.
It's like a mini Gaeltacht kind of.
Yeah. So it's all through soccer. So it'll be fun. So hopefully then, like, if they're having fun and they're enjoying it, that it might come a bit easier then to pick up the little bits of Irish and stuff like that. So I suppose for me personally, I suppose maybe it might have been an environment, if that was my environment and I was learning through Irish through a bit of fun, I might have been a better Irish speaker than I am now.
Probably all would have, yeah.
So yeah, something we're going to try and hopefully it works. So yeah. So.
It's an innovative idea. It's something different anyway to bring to the table.
Yeah. So look, it's going to be a challenge and see will it work. But at the end of the day, I suppose if we, the way I look at it, if we don't try it, you're never going to know. So yeah, and I think to be honest, it will be an exciting one. So I'm looking forward to see how it adapts.
So those camps run in July and August, do they?
Yeah, so they're going the whole way through July, the whole way through August. So I think the first week, the Monday is the 30th. So some of our camps are 4 days. They're Monday to Thursday in the morning. And then we have other camps in Bishopstown evenings, which will be Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday.
Also, there's a different session.
There's overlapping, yeah. So,
and that's handy for as well, because I know there's people maybe committed to other kind of different type of camps.
Yeah.
There's all various types of camps out there, so they might want to do a different one in the afternoon.
Exactly. And like I suppose for children at a young age, like it's important for them to take all these different sports and learn from all these sports and kind of combine it, because they're going to learn, like as I said, for me as a coach, I've no problem learning from other coaches as well. And I'm open to taking different bits of different ways of doing it. So, and I think even in the professional game, there's a lot of clubs now that will do little bits of other sports and other things and stuff as well. So yeah, so it's important, and I suppose it's just from our point of view, we're just giving something on offer at all different times and all different venues. It's there for the children if they want, or even likewise, we've some morning camps and we've some afternoon camps that some children might decide, you know what, that there's a full day of coaching there for me, that if I want to do a morning camp in one venue and then I can go to the other venue for the evening as well. So there's plenty of options there as well. So there is. So.
We have a busy summer ahead of you. So, like, between the regular junior academy on a Sunday, will that continue or does that stop?
Yeah, no. So our regular junior academy is continuing as well. We've a few weeks now that Virgin Media Park is closed just because of the concerts. So we're at Douglas Hall for a few weeks now at the moment. So that'll continue through the whole summer as well. So there's 2 hours there on a Sunday from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and that'll continue. So that time continues throughout the whole year, but it just moves to Douglas Hall now for a few weeks.
Okay.
And then obviously our camps then will be going, and then obviously in terms of the women's side as well, so there'll be plenty that'll keep going through the summer as well, between the academy games and the senior women's games as well.
So you're overseeing the academy, but are you managing some of those teams as well?
No, so thankfully I've got very, very trustworthy coaches to run the 17s and the 19s, so we're good on that side of things, but just monitoring stuff and things like that, and kind of managing the progression from the players and stuff.
But are you looking for talent then to come in, like in the way that Liam is kind of running the boy side of it?
Yeah.
Are you looking at the girl side to see, okay, there's some interesting talent around or whatever?
Yeah, so I suppose just because I suppose it's new in, but yeah, definitely. So we'll be starting to do now talent ID on certain players and stuff like that. So we're midway through the season, so it'll be next season now, and we'll be starting to bring in the younger, so it'll be 2011 players. So so yeah, we start already now starting to ID some players and stuff like that, and then see, and then it's building relationships with the clubs and stuff like that, and then again, as I said, like, they've been the clubs have been the people that have developed these players up to now, so hopefully we'll help them then maybe take them to the next level and stuff like that as well. So
but you must have seen in your time as a coach, you must have seen a massive growth in the women's game, especially at underage, I'd imagine. I see so many clubs there, for example at Páirc Uí Chaoimh last week for the women's team. Like, it was great to see.
Yeah, no, it is. It's massive, to be honest. And like, I suppose even to me, like, I'm in the women's game a long time, but I can see even the joy now in the younger players to be able to see the role models come through. Like I suppose I would have worked alongside Saoirse Noonan for years, and I'm still very good friends with Saoirse. So even to see her growth this year in terms of with Celtic and being the top goal scorer for Celtic, do you know, that kind of way, and even massive then as well for Cork that she was there last week and scoring the winning goal.
Brilliant.
Do you know, so that just drives the standard in Cork and the girls to go again. Do you know, she's a current role model, and obviously with Denise and Megan as well being on the team, like it's massive, like, do you know, so it's really big. And even in terms of me, like I still look up, even Lily Ag was at the course last week, and I'm still like kind of saying like Lily Ag is a professional female player, like, and she's asking me for advice and questions and how do you do things down there in Cork. So I think they're all even just coming onto board that everyone now is kind of pushing for the women's game to be better as a whole, do you know, that kind of way. So no, it's brilliant to see, because I suppose when I was involved in the game, I could see things happening, do you know, but it's now I think people outside of the game are starting to see it. And even for me, for a lot of coaches, I suppose, working in the male game, when they come to me and be like, oh yeah, I saw a women's game at the weekend, it was actually really good football, and I'm like, it's always been really good football, do you know, so it's even, I think, that acknowledgement for me of other coaches are actually starting to acknowledge it now. That's nearly, I suppose, been the biggest one to me, because I've always been involved in it, so I could, I suppose, sense that it was going to grow. So no, it's brilliant, and it's brilliant for the younger players to see that. So, and even the standard in Cork, you can see it's getting better each week, do you know, that kind of, and each year. So yeah, as I said, it for me personally, then you know, to see that development and growth, and even the players I would have had 2 years ago to now breaking into the senior team, it's brilliant to see. Brilliant.
The senior team have kind of had a tough season this year.
Yeah.
Is it a kind of a bit of a transition period for you?
Yeah, I would say, look, it's a transitionary period in terms of, I suppose, obviously new coaching staff, we're all new inside it, so I suppose we're trying to get our stamp on things as well. And like, even like Frank has massive experience, like pro license, so like the girls they're privileged to have a coach at such a high level to be able to coach them, you know. And I think even the other experience in terms of like Trevor's come on board as well from Waterford. Trevor's an A license, and he massive experience as well in the game, and really good. And obviously with Trish and Paul doing the keepers, so like as keepers, like they couldn't have more experience in the game themselves to have you coaching. And like Orla's brilliant in terms of the development, and like you can see it even the last game there at the weekend, like you can see the girls are getting way fitter and they're getting faster and stuff as well. So like we can see the development, as hard as it is to see the results aren't clicking, and there's a few little extras, I suppose, that set pieces are killing us at the moment. So but apart from that, like it's definitely progressing. And like to see the younger players, like I suppose the 19s are top of their table at the moment. They're after getting to the quarterfinals of the group, or the cup games as well. The women's 17s, they top their group, so they're into the elite phase as well. So like the 17s and 19s are flying up behind.
So there's a bright future ahead.
There is definitely a bright future behind and ahead. Like, and I suppose from a recruitment point of view as well, like we're starting to draw the attention of players from outside of Cork as well in terms of our academy, you know. So with the 17s and the 19s, there's a couple of players now as well, they're coming from outside of Cork. So even such an early age to be acknowledging that, and from a parent point of view, putting the time and commitment into that as well. And I think as well to have like such there's a proper plan, I think, in terms of the development now from 17s to 19s to seniors. All the managers are all on the same path, they're all on the same kind of goal, and like between Orla now constantly working on the same athletic development for all the 17s, the 19s and the seniors. You can see the players that have been doing that plan for the last few years are at a very good level now in terms of their athletic development ability, you know. So it's for me personally, it's a brilliant time to be involved and to have the role in the position that I am in.
Sounds like an exciting, I suppose, time to be involved in the women's game, and it's probably only going to get bigger as time moves on.
Yeah, definitely. I can only see it getting bigger, so I can. You know, and even I think in terms of the international managers underage as well, they're very good. James Scott and Tom Evans are very good. They're very open to going around, and this is the whole country. They're travelling the whole country, to be fair to them, and they're open. They'll sit down with the managers, they'll come in, do the sessions, you know. So they're really looking at all the country for players and stuff like that. And like even the last few weeks alone there now, from the academy point of view, James Scott would have come in doing a session, Saoirse Noonan would have been in doing a session, we've had Tom Lells down as well, like, you know. So so it's brilliant from the players as well to see that, you know, they're getting these opportunities to be spotted and you know, and having that experience come in and do sessions and even having little talks with you as well. So but yeah, no, it can only, I think, from the growth, that's the point of view, to have that level of coaches now in the game, it is definitely getting better, because I suppose if you look in the past, you might have had that high level of coaches in the male game, but now it's down in the female game as well, you know. And I think from a female point of view, if anything, their development nearly goes quicker than the men's game. That's just personally, I suppose, from my involvement in the female game, I can see it, and they really soak up the information, and you can see them really learning it. So, and I think personally, the female game, if they're interacting and they're enjoying it, they will push themselves harder then for that coach. You know, that little kind of, suppose, that level of respect as we spoke about already. You know, so yeah, so it's good. Yeah.
So the future for you, obviously taking on a new role, but you're going to continue the coaching badges as well?
Yeah, so like I suppose right now, I suppose it might sound a bit funny. I've always kind of said this, I'd love to get a pro license down the line. And I've said that from, I suppose I said that back when there was a youth license, and now the youth license is gone, and there's UEFA C's and UEFA D's and all this. So so now I'm on the UEFA A, so I suppose I'm one off the top now, if they say so. But look, I suppose hopefully by the March now I'll have my UEFA A, and I'll take time. I'll I suppose enjoy time having that license and get the experience in as well, and continue to learn at that level as well. You know, because as I said, I'm not going to be ever the perfect coach and never going to get everything right. So I need to make my mistakes, and I, as the UEFA A licensed coach as well, and learn from those mistakes. And I suppose even that was big on the UEFA license, about looking back at yourself and analysing yourself and clipping it. So it's about reflecting on that kind of thing, and then hopefully getting the opportunity down the line to maybe even, you know, to be on that pro license and be managing at the highest level, which, but to be honest with you, right now I feel like I am at the highest level. It's for me, there's
a huge opportunity, I'd imagine, because of the whole size of the club, and the club is getting bigger, both in the women's and the men's game, that it's a great time to be involved, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. And like, there's so much talk even in terms of, I suppose, in the country about the women's game growing. They like, obviously on the men's side there's 4 academy ages, so that's, I suppose, the talk is there'll be another women's age introduced. Whether that'll happen next year or it could be in 5 years' time, but just even from a talent ID point of view, like our 17s at the moment, like the girls are 14 and 15, you know, so so that next stage, if it does come in, like we're there and thereabouts already, and it's just about getting that talent ID done. And as I said, even the Cork Gaynor Cup team last week even finished third, you know. It's the first time they finished third in a couple of years, or finished that high in a couple of years, so it's brilliant to see that now as well. Like that's the group of girls that like we potentially be recruiting from next year, you know. So it's brilliant to see that now as well. Like, the standard is getting higher, and it's just very exciting to be involved in, you know, like the whole pathway, having Frank leading the senior team. And to be fair to Barry's the manager at the 19s, and Barry's brilliant connections, haven't done a bunch of schools the last few years, so he's brilliant experience as well, you know. And I've been feeding off him, and then Derek is obviously doing the 17s, and again Derek has worked, you know, with the FAI and worked with the Centre of Excellence as well, so there's massive things I can learn off them as well, you know, that kind of way. And while as such I might be overseeing it, I don't look at it that way. I look at we're all on the same level, and we're all trying to get the female game in Cork to the highest level possible, you know. So exciting times ahead. Exactly. Well, look, we better let you get back to your job, because it seems like you're juggling lots of different stuff, but exciting stuff at the same time. Thanks a million, Craig, for coming in. Thanks for having me. And best of luck with all those camps in the summer. And I'm sure if anyone wants to join and leave them up, all the details are on the website. Yeah, all the details are up there, and there'll be plenty on social media and stuff as well in the next coming weeks as well. He's a busy man, isn't he?
He is, to be fair to him, yeah. He's come in, and there's no kind of settling in period. He came in and he's 100 kilometers an hour straight away. But by the sounds of him, I think he's always been like that. But like, since he was about 12 and he said he started coaching, it sounds like he's always been involved in loads of teams. So yeah. I think he likes it. Yeah, he does. You can tell he does. He lives and breathes football, like, so. Yeah. It's what he wants to do, which is great. And it's coming at a good time, I suppose, as well, with all those camps like he was talking about, and they're coming up soon, and it's nice that they're moving around the city and county as well. That's the thing, yeah. Typically, I suppose our Corky camps have been in Bishopstown, maybe one in Clonakilty or West Cork, somewhere here and there, but lots of locations this year. As Craig mentioned, you're going from just next door to us here, back to Bishopstown, Inniscarra, Mitchellstown, like, you're covering a lot of Cork. So we're spreading the good word of Cork City, I suppose, which is that's great. Exactly what you want to see. That's exactly what you want to see, and it's, you know, it's fantastic for the club as well, because you know what, they're all potential players maybe, and but fans. Also supporters. Absolutely, you know, so that's kind of what we want to see.
So yeah, I know it's fantastic to have someone in that role, and that's someone that's so passionate, and I think even better again, somebody with the that kind of background in early childcare as well, which is really important when you're dealing with a load of small kids around the place, especially those camps in the summer. He'll give great guidance to some of our younger coaches as well, I think.
That's an interesting, I didn't realise that's what Craig had done. But I suppose it gives you an interesting perspective on the young players you're working with, not as players, but as people, and
I'm sure
works with people.
There's parents probably listening that will feel nearly more reassured that there's someone up with those qualifications that are running those camps.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because sometimes you're handing your kids over and you don't really know.
You don't know who it is,
Who's minding them? Who is this person? Like, we're just abandoning them at some pitch.
Babysitting club. No, it's really good. And Craig's been working on camps for a long time as well, so he's
good experience at it.
Yeah, he's well qualified in that regard. So they're all kicking off, as you said. Schools are finishing now, so I suppose parents are all looking for what camps and what things to get the kids into for the summer. So these are the perfect ones. Craig mentioned they're all up on the website. It's ccfc.ie/camps for all the details on those. So
as we said already, the women are playing at home on Saturday against Galway.
Yeah.
So Craig will be there with Frank with them. What time is that kick-off? 5?
5 o'clock kick-off, yeah. So double header at the Cross this week because it's a Friday and a Saturday. So busy one to look ahead to.
So the men's team are back. They're back from their little break. I suppose it's another big one. Another Dublin team coming down.
It always is when a Dublin team comes to town.
But we beat them already at home this season. So
we did. That was a cracker of a game as well, wasn't it?
One, yeah.
Rory Keating. What an ending that one was.
So I look, hopefully they're coming back refreshed.
They're in a different position in the table now to when we played them last time. I know they had a really disappointing start to the season.
They've really kicked on though.
Their fans weren't overly happy, but they've kicked on, as you said. A lot of wins. They beat us up there in Dalymount late on. We should have had a penalty. I'll still keep saying that we should have had a penalty. They beat us 1-0. And their fortunes have changed a little bit, so it's an interesting prospect. But I suppose Cork City against Bohs always is. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure everybody else is looking forward to it. And Jar and the players and David Moyler as well. It's his first game since his return.
That was the big news over the period as well that we haven't discussed was the fact that we now have an assistant manager, and it's a familiar face to us as well. The fact that Dave Moyler's back.
Former player, academy graduate.
Yeah.
And obviously not only is he a former player, but he went on to have a phenomenal career in the Premier League and internationally as well. So
it feels like for me it's like going back in time, because when I worked for the club back in 2008, Dave was still a player with the club and actually was just about to sign for Sunderland.
Really?
And when you're talking about camps, I always remember bringing him into some FAI camp or something like that, and all the kids were like, "Who's he? I don't know him at all." And I said, "What? You might know him now in the future." And he went on to captain his country. Well,
no doubt we'll be trying to, whatever, bring him into camps, we'll be trying to bring him in here in the next couple of weeks anyway.
We need to find out the full story of, to be fair to him, he's been one of our most successful
exports, I presume. Yeah. I met him this morning actually for the first time.
Brilliant.
Very nice fella.
So
looking forward to that.
He'll be on the side of the pitch with Jorso on
Friday night. He'll be there, yeah, he'll be there. There was an in-house friendly match last night that he was at. Played against Treaty United out in Bishopstown, and we won it. Behind closed doors, and we won it. So the football is back.
So I'm guessing we're nearly up to in terms of injuries now. Most of the lads are kind of nearly back at this stage. No, obviously Rory's not going to be back.
Yeah, Rory Keating's still out. Conor Drynan, I think Harry Nevin is out injured as well.
Yeah,
but as I said, the lads are back in training the last couple of days, and I haven't really been around Bishopstown. I don't know, is my voice giving it away, but I've been a bit sick over the weekend, so I don't know who's been training or not training yet. Suppose we'll find out as we see the teams on the pitch.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, and looking forward to it. And especially, it'll be one of those rare days that there'll be no football on probably, because with all the Nations League and all that now will come to the end before this Club World Cup type of thing starts. But that's going to be on in the middle of the night anyway.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
So we're now in this kind of, what do we do kind of zone. So if there's football fans, we said this before, if there's football fans out there and they're looking for their fix, bring them down to a real match.
Absolutely, yeah. And something, do you know what? Something over the last couple of weeks you'd notice, kind of everyone wants to be in Turner's Cross. You look, the Shells game, for example, Conor Howrahan was there.
Yeah.
Obviously famous Cork man, Barnsley manager. Simon Zebo was there. Roy Keane's been around the last couple of weeks.
Been
Like
around,
everyone wants to be at Turner's. It's the place to be by the looks of things. Like so,
And everyone wants to wear Cork City tops as well. I see the lads from pictures just wearing a Cork City top, and your man Macklemore was wearing it as well.
Yeah, do you know what? We sent him down. They had actually requested the new jersey, and he wore the old jersey. So look, it's still a Cork City jersey, but no, that's stuff like that's brilliant to see. Isn't it? Like it's shows the broader reach, I suppose, of the Cork City brand, which is brilliant. It's brilliant
cool,
for the club.
like, yeah. I don't know what you saw my post there over the last week or two as well, where there's a Cork City scarf now.
I did.
It's permanently inside Old Trafford.
In the museum in Old Trafford.
Yeah.
That was the Bobby Charlton Memorial, was it?
Yeah, so like that was before I even started doing the podcast here. So you're going back to October 23. So we didn't start the podcast till about February 24.
Yeah.
Probably. And I was going over for the Manchester Derby, and sadly, poor Bobby Charlton passed away. So I said, and I've seen these before, and I think it's lovely when clubs from all over the world, they put stuff down on the ground. So I said to Cahill, I said, we bring over a Cork City scarf, because something from Cork, like, because you'd always see bizarre stuff over.
Yeah.
And put it down, and thought no more of it. And then I was over in Manchester last weekend, and it was in the museum. And coming down the stairs, and I see that they have a tribute to him, and there's a Cork City scarf at the front, alongside Man City, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, I think Burnley. There was a Sligo one, I think, in the back, but there was a few other clubs from all over the world as well. But it was brilliant to see Cork City in there amongst all those clubs.
Do you know what? And the thing as well, I suppose, I saw the picture that you put up. It's front and center, like it's right down at the glass. Yeah. It's one of the first ones you'd see.
So, and actually, then when I put it up on Twitter or whatever, and there was a few lads said, "I spotted that." He said, "They said I spotted that Cork City scarf. All right, it's kind of mad to think that there was an Irish club or whatever like that." So, you know what? It's nice. I mean, I know Bobby Charlton. He didn't play for Cork City. He played for Waterford, but there's. I suppose he's an icon in football.
Yeah, he kind of transcends, I suppose, club loyalties or whatever.
The fact that he did play in League of Ireland is kind of a quirky thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know,
there's loads of big players in the 70s and 80s in the League of Ireland, wasn't there?
And the lads at the Opera hosted that night when we had the likes of Trevor Brooken and stuff from West Ham who had played in the same World Cup team as Bobby Charlton. So there's always connections. George
always
playing in Cork as well at one stage. There's always these different things. So I just thought it was mad that there is now a Cork City scarf inside in Old Trafford.
Unreal, isn't it? We'd get in anywhere.
Yeah,
those Cork City lads would get in anywhere.
Yeah, so that's a kind of a wrap up of everything that's happened over the last, I suppose, week and a half or 2 weeks or whenever.
Big long mid-season break.
So. Yeah, we're all looking forward to getting back to the Cross this weekend. Double header. And hopefully crowds will come out. I think the weather's decent as well.
The weather's been weird, hasn't it, the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, the weather was actually better in May when we had matches, actually.
Do you know what? One thing we completely forgot to mention. The cup draw.
Oh, the cup draw.
The cup draw.
So we're going playing a non-league team at home.
Leicester Celtic at home. I think it's a Damien Duff's former club.
Is it?
Apparently so, yeah. Yeah, Leicester Celtic at Turner's Cross.
Oh, and do they wear blue?
I looked it up. They don't. I think they wear white and red. I'm not sure which is the home colour, but those are kind of the club colours. So could be a clash. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
It's your first fixture against them ever, is it? Must be.
I would be fairly confident in saying it is, yeah.
Well, if you
imagine it's not.
Yeah.
I'm only a blowing now the last couple of years. My stats only go back as far as 10, 15 years.
I do remember some non-league teams playing us over the years, but I don't never remember the Leicester Celtic playing us.
Leicester Celtic, yeah. So that's.
I think we did play Leicester City one time in a friendly, but
definitely not Leicester. Well, to be fair, we're playing Glasgow Celtic the week before.
It's getting very confusing now.
There's too much going on. Leicester Celtic, they're both Brendan Rodgers' old clubs as well, which are current club as well.
Yeah.
But that's the men's draw, City against Leicester Celtic at the Cross. And then on the women's draw, it's City against Peamount.
Tough draw.
Which will already be our third time playing Peamount this year.
Yeah.
We lost the 2 previous meetings, but again, good performances, which is frustrating, but encouraging at the same time.
Yeah.
So
you never know. Cups, it'd be nice to get a little run in the cup.
I love a cup run. Be
nice to get back to the Aviva or Tala for the women as well, yeah.
Or both.
A cup run, yeah. They could put them back on the same day. I know.
I was only talking. Do you know what? I was talking to Frank Kelleher about that the other day. going to the women's game about the 2017 Cup final, and it's interesting getting his insight on kind of, because that was just before the women's club and the men's club officially merged, but it was heading that way, so everyone knew it was happening. Yeah. So just getting his insight on that. I know he said it for a while, that's why I want to get him in here to talk about it, but Frank has some great stories about the early days of Cork City FC women. So yeah, I'd love a cup final. I know I got to work at a cup final in 2020 in Tala, but I'd love a non-COVID cup final because there was nobody there.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah. Be nice. The Aviva would be something special, but
the Aviva would be brilliant. Yeah. Although, funnily enough, I think now, to be honest, if we were in a cup final in the Aviva, I'd probably want to be in the city end more than I'd want to be working at it.
Yeah.
But
you never know. I mean, look at Drogheda last year.
We got the cup semi-final 2 years ago.
Yeah, but Drogheda were in the playoff last year and they won the cup.
Yep.
And look at them this season.
Yeah, they're flying it. Yeah.
So you never know. A cup run, things can go your way. A bit of confidence, bit of momentum.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be something to look forward to anyway in the next couple of weeks as well. And we look forward to welcoming Leicester Celtic to Cork.
Leicester Celtic. First ever meeting, we'll say it. Look, I'm fairly confident.
Yeah, and I thought it was Leinster Celtic. Yeah, but in the meantime, we have another Dublin
club. They're probably calling us Cork anyway. So.
Yeah, they all do. Yeah. No, in the meantime, anyway, we'll look forward to the other Dublin side, the Bows, coming down to Cork, and then obviously Galway. So we'll be back next week. Hopefully some positive news and all of that.
See you then.
See you then.